land of Manasseh. All right? Now, y'all know where all them are, right? Okay. Y'all ever heard of the Golan Heights? Golan Heights? Well, that's Golan right there. I mean, that's up in Basham, right? If they say Golan Heights, you wouldn't. That's where they fight all the time. That's right. But you got Basham up here, and that's the Golan Heights, and Golan's right here, okay? So that's one of them cities of refuge. Now, if you killed somebody, it'd be important to know where these were, right? And then the second one, Ramoth, it's over here kind of in the middle, in between the other ones. And then down here, Bezer, right? You have that. So this would be on the other side of Jordan. Now down here, you got Hebron, right? Remember the cave of Machpelah, all that, where Abraham buried and all those people, and Caleb got that city. And then you got Shechem here in the middle, and then way up here to the north, we got Kadesh. So these would be the 6 cities that they could flee to in the event they killed somebody and they didn't want to get killed themselves. We don't have anything like that today, okay? So that finishes another chapter, so we only have 3 chapters left to go. So let's look in chapter 21 and verses 1 to 3. Then came there the heads of the fathers of the Levites unto Eleazar the priest, and to Joshua the son of Nun, and unto the heads of the fathers of the tribe of the children of Israel. And they spake unto them at Shiloh in the land of Canaan, saying, The Lord commandeth by the hand of Moses to give us cities to dwell in, with the suburbs therefore for our cattle. And the children of Israel gave unto the Levites out of their inheritance at the commandment of the Lord these cities and their suburbs. Okay? The Levites, like we said, need a place to live, a place to raise up their family, and a place for them to perform the duties that they had been promised. All this had been promised way back in Moses, right? God commanded the Levites to be given 48 cities, all right, throughout these other 12 tribes. Now, after all the land had been portioned, all the other tribes have their inheritance, comes the head of the fathers of the Levites unto Eleazar the priest and to Joshua. They come to the heads of the fathers there, the tribe of the children of Israel, and they're requesting their land. All right? Now, of the Levites, y'all remember who the Levites are? We got the Kohathites, right? The Gershonites and the Merarites. And by lot, all right, in other words, God still doing deciding who's going to get what. All right? Now, verse 4 to 42 tells of how many cities were given out of each tribe and of what cities were given by each tribe. Huh? And we are just not going to read all the way through there, right? Well, you would be asleep over there. I could hear y'all now, huh? Yeah. Now, if you want to do a self-study of all them cities, you're more than welcome to, all right? But we're going to jump down there to verse number 43 and 45 of chapter number 21. And it said, The Lord gave in Israel all the lands which sware unto their fathers, and they possessed it, and they dwelt therein. And the Lord gave them rest round about, according to all that he sware unto his fathers, and they stood not a man of all their enemies before them. The Lord delivered all their enemies unto their hand. They fell not aught of any good thing which the Lord had spoken unto the house of Israel, all came to pass. Now the Lord gave Israel the land that he had promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They now live in it and they possess it. It is theirs, right? All the tribes are now at rest. In other words, they're not at war with anybody. No more battles to be fought. and no one is even trying to come up against them. Do you think they fear Israel? They for sure fear their Lord, right? Now, all the good things that God had promised unto them, they received each and every one of them. God kept his promise, right? Israel has its rest, but there are a few loose ends that still need to be tied up. So we're going to begin there in chapter 22 and verses 1 to 4. Then Joshua called the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh and said unto them, Ye have kept all that Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded you, and have obeyed my voice in all that I commanded you. Ye have not left your brother these many days unto this day, but have kept the charge of the commandment of the Lord your God. And now the Lord your God hath given rest unto your brother, as he had promised them. Therefore now return ye and get you into your tents and unto the land of your possessions, which Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave you on the other side of Jordan. Now Joshua, he's still in charge, right? And he calls other tribes there, the Reuben, Gad, and half the tribe of Manasseh. Now they had promised to Moses when he had given them land there the east of the Jordan. You know, they were content to inherit that, right? But Moses had them to promise when Israel crossed over the Jordan that they too would come and fight with their brothers until they possessed their land, right? Okay. Of which they kept their promise, right? Now, of the 75,580 so fighting men that they had from their second numbering of Israel, in Joshua 4 and 13, we were told there that they sent about 40,000, right? 40,000 prepared for war and passed over before the Lord unto battle. They went into the plains of Jericho. In other words, that still left 35,580, right? Still on the east side of Jordan to protect their land and their families there, huh? They just didn't leave them defenseless on that side. Now, we even spoke of how the river, right? That river Jordan in the middle, it would separate the people, but with them all serving the one and true God, that just wasn't ever going to be a problem of any sort, right? You can come up here. Larry said he's lonely. Now, the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half tribe of Manasseh had kept their promise. They fought with their brothers so they could possess their land. And now that the land is at rest, Joshua calls them and tells them that it is now time for them to return home. Go back to that land that Moses had given them on the other side of the Jordan. But before he leaves, right, you can't just walk out the door and go, right? Now, here Joshua gives them a charge in verses number 5 and 6. But take diligent heed to do the commandments and the law which Moses, the servant of the Lord, charged you, to love the Lord your God, and to walk in all his ways, and to keep his commandments, and cleave unto him, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul. So Joshua blessed them and sent them away, and they went unto their tents. Okay? Take diligent heed. I mean, this is something that they must do, and they must put great effort into doing it. And that was to do the commandments and keep the law that Moses has given, that had been charged to all of Israel with, and that was to walk in all his ways. Keep God's commandment and cleave unto him and serve him with all their heart and with all their soul. In other words, they needed to be continuing to follow God and serve God just as they had before. Now, these 2.5 tribes were just going back over that river Jordan, right? I mean, they weren't going that far away, were they? Now, Israel, as a whole tribe, of all their tribes, were now spread out further to the north and the south than they are to the east and the west, right? Seemed like if there was any separation coming because of a distance, it would be north and south instead of east and west, because they must have found some way of getting across that river Jordan pretty easy, right? Now Joshua charged them and then blessed them and then sent them away. And said they go away to their tents. In other words, it's time to make ready, pack things up, and go back to their land. All right? It's time for them to return home. Those are verses 7 and 9. Now to the 1.5 tribe of Manasseh, Moses had given possessions in Bashan. But unto the other half thereof gave Joshua among their brethren on this side Jordan, westward. And when Joshua sent them away also unto their tents, then he blessed them. And he spake unto them, saying, Return with much riches unto your tents, and with very much cattle, with silver, and with gold, and with brass, and with iron, and with very much raiment. Divide the spoils of your enemies with your brethren. And the children of Reuben, the children of Gad, and the half tribe of Manasseh returned and departed from the children of Israel out of Shiloh, which is the land of Canaan, to go into the country of Gilead, and to the land of their possession, whereof they were possessed according to the word of the Lord by the hand of Moses. Now Manasseh, y'all remember Manasseh? Is a tribe that chose to split. Half of them went on the east side of the Jordan, and the other went half on the west. Now Bashan, as we looked at, right? Up there in the Golden Heights, right? Is on the east side of the Jordan, and this is the land Moses given them to possess, and Joshua is giving the other half of the tribe of Manasseh their portion on the west side of the Jordan. Remember, they're kind of right across each other on the Jordan River. Now, all these fighting men, they prepare now to go home east to the Jordan. And Joshua tells them that they are not to go back empty-handed. They did their fighting, right? So, much land and much people have been conquered, and much spoils have been taken. They had the cattle, the silver, the gold, the brass, the iron, raiments. They had clothing. And they are to take their portion and their share back with them to their brethren. That would be a lot, wouldn't it? When you talk about that many people and they're going to share with the 2.5 tribes over there. Now they pack everything up there and they head out of Shiloh. That's kind of where they set up their camp now as far as the children of Israel. Their promise has been kept and their work done, and they return to their land Moses has given to them. So let's look at verses 10 to 12. And when they came unto the borders of Jordan and are in the land of Canaan, the children of Reuben and the children of Gad and the half tribe of Manasseh built there an altar by Jordan, a great altar to see to. And the children of Israel heard say, Behold, the children of Reuben and the children of Gad and half the tribe of Manasseh have built an altar over against the land of Canaan in the borders of Jordan at the passage of the children of Israel. And when the children of Israel heard of it, the whole congregation rose up and praised to their God for all the goodness that those children of the other tribes are keeping towards the Lord their God. No, it said the congregation of the children gathered themselves together at Shiloh to go to war against them, right? Can you believe that? I mean, they just fought all those years so they could get their land. And now that they're returning over there, they's ready to go to war. Separation has already started, right? I mean, the children of Reuben, Gad, and half-tribe Manasseh have been released from their promise. They fought, and they're returning home, and they've been charged, right? They've been charged, warned to follow the Lord their God and Him only. And they've gone over. They've crossed over to the east of the Jordan River, and they built an altar. Now, this was a great altar, okay? Much more than just a few stones that was stacked on there. It says it was a great altar to see to. Huh? I think it was something to behold. Huh? Now, it had its reason and its purpose. In other words, when the children of Israel. Now, does that sound right? I thought they was all children of Israel, right? But it says when the children of Israel, all right? I mean, it's like they've already excluded the 2.5 tribes against the 9.5, right? But when the children of Israel heard that the tribes of Reuben and Gad and half-tribe Manasseh had built an altar, all right? Now, I also got a question here of what else they might have been heard at that time to go along with the building that altar. In other words, had somebody, how you get a story that people get elaborated on? Kind of put in there 2 cents worth, and by the time it gets to you, you got to go figure out and sort out what's true and what was been elaborated on, right? I mean, the children of Israel, referred to here as the 9.5 tribes, heard of this altar. They was ready to go against their own brother to go to war. In chapter 18 there, verse 1, when the children of Israel, they came and set up camp there in Shiloh, the tabernacle of the congregation also had been assembled, right? So the tabernacle is set up there at Shiloh at that time. So there's a question. Had this new altar that they built, was it built in opposition to that of the tabernacle? Let's look in verses 13 to 15. And the children of Israel sent unto children of Reuben and to the children of Gad and to the half-tribe Manasseh unto the land of Gilead, Phinehas the son of Eleazar the priest, and with him 10 princes of each chief house, a prince throughout all the tribes of Israel, and each one of them was the head of the house of their fathers among the thousands of Israel. And they came unto the children of Reuben, and to the children of Gad, and to the half-tribe of Manasseh, unto the land of Gilead, and they spake with them, saying, all right? Now the children of Israel, one thing good about it, they don't send out a full attack on their brothers, right? Right? They form a team to go. Phinehas, right, son of the high priest there. 10 princes is also, and this is a delegation committee, and they're sent just to talk and find out, right? So let's look in verses 16 and 20. Thus say the whole congregation of the Lord, what trespass is this that you have committed against the God of Israel, to turn away this day from following the Lord, in that ye have builded you an altar, that you may rebel this day against the Lord? Is the iniquity of Peor too little for us, from which we are not cleansed until this day, although there was a plague in the congregation? That ye may turn away this day from following the Lord, and it will be, seeing ye rebel today against the Lord, that tomorrow we will be wroth with the whole congregation of Israel? Notwithstanding, if the land of your possession be unclean, then pass ye over into the land of the possession of the Lord, wherein the Lord's tabernacle dwelleth, and take possessions among us. Be rebel not against the Lord, nor rebel against him, in building you an altar beside the altar of the Lord our God. Did not Achan the son of Zerah commit a trespass in the accursed thing, and wrath fell upon all the congregation of Israel, and that man perished not alone, and it was iniquity. So we got this committee going over, right? It's supposed to be of the whole congregation of the Lord. In other words, this is what the 9.5 tribes are taking there. That they don't come with questions of why or what purpose or what reason that they built the altar. Wouldn't that be kind of the first thing to do? Is why did you build an altar? I mean, they come with accusations of why they have trespassed against the Lord of Israel, turned from following him, and built this altar so that they could rebel against their Lord. They even continue to remind them of the consequences Israel has already faced when they sinned against their Lord. The first thing, they talk about the iniquity of Baal Peor. Now, we studied about that in Numbers in chapter 25. They was there at Shittim. The people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. Now, God would not allow Balaam to curse Israel. So remember, he told Balak just to send in the women, right? Let them go in there and do what an army can't do. And Israel, under the control of these Moabite women, they sacrificed to their God, they ate with the people, and they bowed down to their God, which kindled the anger of the Lord against all of Israel. And God sent that plague against Israel, right? 24,000 people died. And that plague did not stop until, remember, Phinehas, he thrust that javelin through the man of Israel, that Midianite woman, that he had taken to the tent. Y'all remember that? Kind of, sort of? A little bit? All right. Now, this delegation committee goes on to even state because of their action to rebel, they chose, their choice not to follow their Lord. They will anger God, and his wrath will be brought upon the whole congregation of Israel. They're concerned for themselves too if them other 2.5 tribes sin, right? In other words, they're afraid all of Israel is going to suffer because of their sin. Now they go in to invite these 2.5 tribes there to come back to the west side of Jordan. In other words, if their land is unclean, if it has sin in it, then they could come and take land with them where the tabernacle of the Lord is, but just don't rebel against the Lord by building your own altar. Then they even, committee here brings up the sin of Achan, right? Y'all remember the sin of Achan? There in chapter 7, the battle of Jericho. Now Achan saw, he lusted, and he took that accursed thing. He took what actually belonged to the Lord. The Babylonian garment, the 200 shekels of silver, and the wedge of gold of 50 shekels. And Achan took that, and what did he do with it? He buried it in his tent and hid it. Remember that? And because of one man's sins, God's wrath fell upon the whole congregation. When they went in to fight Ai, right? They couldn't defeat them, and it cost them the lives of 36 men. Their God was not with them until God's judgment was given. All right. What happened to Achan and everything he had? The earth opened up and swallowed everything. It swallowed up his tent. It swallowed up his family, his wives, his children, his livestock. If it belonged to Achan, it went down into the earth, and the earth closed up, and it like it never been there before, right? Now this delegation committee has stated their cause, and now it's time for reply from these 2.5 tribes that have gone over to go home in peace, right? They want to know of why they have done such a thing against their God. And we'll study about that in our next lesson, right? It's the cliffhanger, right? All right. Brother James, you close in a word of prayer, sir.